All right, so you made a V-part wig by hand on a mesh dome cap, and it's either too big or too small. I'm going to tell you exactly why that happened. There's several reasons and what you need to do to prevent it from happening again when you make your next V-part wig, because you're not going to give up. You're going to try again. All right, so let's get into it. When you make wigs by hand, it's just like doing a sew and weave. And at the time when I first started making wigs, I was doing sew-ins. So I had no issue making the full cap wigs. I did struggle with U-part wigs. The first time I made one, I had a coworker get some hair and I wanted to practice. I didn't charge her. I just had her get the hair and I made the wig, and I cannot recall what was wrong with it. I just know it wasn't right. She couldn't wear it. So I took it down and made it again and I installed it. Now with Venetia, I don't know. I believe it was probably too big, or when she braided her hair down to wear the wig, it didn't line up with how the wig was made. So that's important too. We're going to talk more about that in a second. Another time I made a wig, it was for a client, and her circumference is 23. I knew I needed to use a larger wig cap, but I didn't. I had to take that wig apart and make her another one on a bigger cap, like I should have done in the first place. So that's a tip. If your circumference is 23 inches or larger, use an extra large cap, okay? Because it may feel like it's too tight when it's on your head. So I put a picture up of that wig. That wig turned out cute, but it was too small for her head because of the cap that I used. So you want to use the right size cap. And also, if you are smaller than like 21 and a half inches, your circumference, oh, perfect example. This is a 20 and a half. If you have a small head, you want to use a smaller cap. Otherwise, you will have a lot of slack. Let me show you right quick. Hold on. You see all of that extra room in the cap? Like, you could cut some of this cap away, but if you're not experienced, you could cut too much and then your cap will be too small. So just get a cap that's smaller. Yes, if you have a small head, smaller than 21 and a half, I would get a smaller cap. If you are larger than 22 and a half, I would get an extra large cap. If you're making your wig by hand on a mesh dome cap, you want to make it on a wig block. And I recommend using a wig block with cork on the inside and canvas. These will last you for years. This is one of my first wig blocks. It's a 22 and a half. And the one I showed you, that's the 20 and a half, is newer to me. I love that brand, the GEX brand. All right, so you want to use a wig block that is the circumference of your head. I have a video, and in that video, I show you in detail how to measure your head for a wig. I show you how to take your circumference ear to ear and front to nape, and I will link that video below. And that brings me to my next point. You want to also use your ear to ear and front to nape over your head for your ear to ear and front to nape. Do not take your head measurements with a sew-in installed, crochet braids, or wearing a wig. If you have in a sew-in or crochet braids, it's possible, or a wig if you're wearing a wig, it's possible your wig, and to make sure my mic was on. I have my mic on a fingernail file. We are doing the best we can with what we got. If you have a sew-in installed, crochet braids, or if you're wearing a wig, it's possible your wig could end up being too big because those are not your true head measurements. You have your cornrows underneath and the wig. The reason why you do not want to take your head measurements while wearing braids is because it's possible your wig will end up too small. And I learned this the hard way. I took a client's head measurements while she had braids, and I knew better, but I did it anyway. You want to include your cornrows or however you prep your hair under your wig. And when I took her head measurements, I remember parting her braids to get to her scalp, and it was as if she had no hair. based on the measurements that I took. So make sure you have your hair prepped. I recommend having your hair prepped the way you plan to wear it while wearing your wig. Also, if you plan to wear your wig behind your hairline, or if you plan to have your entire perimeter out, keep that in mind while you're taking your head measurements, okay? If you plan to wear your wig behind your hairline, do not place the measuring tape in front of your hairline, because when you put your wig on, it's going to feel like your wig is too big. If you plan to wear hair out in the back, end your measurement right before the leave out, okay? Because if you put your wig on and if you measure your full head and you plan to leave hair out in the back or in the front or your entire perimeter, it's going to feel like your wig is too big when it's not. It's just the math ain't math, and how you took the head measurements and how you're wearing it, two different things. While you're taking your head measurements, I would also measure the leave out, or at least know how much leave out you plan to have. So if you plan to have 1 inch of leave out, when you make your wig, make your opening 1 inches. 1 inches. Did I say 1 inches? I did. Girl, if you plan to have only 1 inch of leave out, I would make the wig with 1 inch of leave out. Now, if you make the wig and you make it as if you will have a minimal leave out, but when you put the wig on, you have 3, 4 inches of leave out, you're going to have that little weird bulk right behind your part. And it's going to feel like your wig is too big, but it's not. It's just you're wearing it differently from how you made the wig. And with V part and U part wigs, you make them the same way. The only difference is with a U part wig, you leave the weft intact. You don't have to cut it. You just curve it how you need to curve it to create the size opening that you need. And with a V part, I cut the wefts. I have a detailed video, girl, showing you how to make a V part wig. I will link it below. But you just cut the weft and you make your V. And you can make it as narrow or as wide as you want. So just make sure you're making the wig how you plan to wear it. Okay? Very important. I have my notes. I don't want to forget anything. This is so important. If the wig is too small, I don't think you should wear it, especially if you have combs in your cornrows, because you could pull your hair and rip your hair out. Just go ahead, take the wig down. If you have to take your wig down, use manicure scissors or grooming scissors. I like these over a seam ripper. I feel like I have more control with these. When you take the hair off of the wig, when you remove it with your scissors, start at the top. That way, as you remove the hair from the wig cap, you can lay them out and the hair in the back will end up on top. And then when you remake your wig, you can pull from the top and you can kind of get it as close to how you made it originally. And also, when you remake your wig or when you make any wig, always try it on before you cut and style it. Because if you add layers and get to cut and style, you may have to buy more hair. All right?
Editing Tamika here. Hey y'all. I want to speak on that a little bit more. If you cut and style your wig before you try it on, and if you have to remake it, it's possible you will not be able to reuse that hair because you may find it too difficult to place the hair onto your new wig cap the same way you had it for the first wig. So don't cut and style it just yet. Try it on first.
Very important. So now I just want to encourage you, do not feel bad. I'm telling you, it took me a minute to figure out U part wigs. When I made my first V part wig, that turned out perfectly because I knew what I was doing. I just knew I had to make it a V instead of a U. And I would put a picture of my girl Kentrell rocking her V part wig. For years, she loved U part wigs. And then last year, she started playing around with V part wigs. So, yes, I will link the tutorials to learn how to make your U part and V part wigs step by step, as well as the video where I show you how to take your head measurements for your wig and how to map them out on your wig block. If you have any questions, leave them below. I am great about answering questions and replying to comments under in the comment section. So if you have questions, let me know. I will be more than happy to help. I love y'all. Thank you for watching my videos, and I will see you in the next one. Happy wig making.